So your story, I think, is one that showcases that governments don't want to give up the power to permission. And so Bitcoin is a challenge to that. How do they attack Bitcoin? How do they stop Bitcoin? What should this community be looking for from governments around the world that are not happy with it?
Well, right now, again, the panelists we just had, anybody who's worked in the cryptocurrency space on the institutional side can tell you that the first thing government goes after is privacy, right? What they go is, all right, you can have your magic internet money, you can do whatever you want, as long as it fits our status quo. You know, you might be a square peg, but you're gonna have to find a way to shave enough off of your system to fit into our round hole. And the problem is the thing that they've been shaving off of Bitcoin, and the thing that they've been shaving off of all of these institutions that are involved in this space are the protections for the people who are using, right? They are shaving off the digital equivalent of our rights, right? Our freedom from unreasonable search, seizure, interference in our private interactions. And this is what I think is the most important thing that Bitcoin is missing right now, right? All of the Bitcoin developers, you hear them talking about it. We've had panels, I think yesterday at your conference actually, where they talk about the privacy problem and where it's going. And here's the thing. The lack of privacy is an existential threat to Bitcoin. And it's an existential threat to the cryptocurrency space broadly. The reason why is the privacy is the only protection that Bitcoin has for the users and the people engaged in the ecosystem to protect them from changes in the political winds of whatever jurisdiction they happen to live in. And you might be in the United States right now and go, look, you know, I'm a fan of government or I'm not a fan of government, whatever. I'm not worried about it. I've got my password, right? I've got my bank statements. I've got everything. I can, you know, give a blood sample or whatever it is that the exchanges are asking for today. And then I can go about my business, right? You know, it's worse every. But here's the thing about privacy that people forget. If one of you gives it up, because you go, it's not useful for me, you're taking it away from everybody else who doesn't have that level of comfort, right? Who doesn't have that privilege. You go, look, privacy is meaningless to me. Because they live in China, or they live in Russia, or they live in Iran, or they live in Venezuela, where they're very much in a more vulnerable position, or they could be tomorrow, because the laws change every day. And this is the thing about privacy that I think so many of us today have forgotten. And why it is so important to defend this is it doesn't matter if you have nothing to hide, because privacy isn't about something to hide. Privacy is about something to protect. And the thing that you're protecting is a free and open society. The thing that you're protecting is the right to act and to do and to try and to be different, right? Because that's what privacy protects. It protects the different people. It protects the transaction that doesn't match. And, you know, people will make good arguments here and they'll go, look, there are criminals who use Bitcoin. And they're right. They're right. There are criminals out there who use Bitcoin. There's a hell of a lot more criminals who use the dollar, but there are criminals who are using it. Right? And they're serious criminals and they're people that we don't want basically preying on society. But here's the thing, no amount of chain analysis, going out there and going, all right, Bitcoin is providing at least pseudonymity, even if it's not providing anonymity. And we're gonna go, this Bitcoin transaction from, you know, wherever, this old TXID, you know, we pull it out of the muck and we dust it out and then we go, it connects to this one and 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 this one, and then finally went to Coinbase. And luckily, Coinbase is our little deputy. So let's go to Coinbase and let's go, you know, whose name is attached to that. But the thing is, the coin could have been spent 25 times by then. But now you're asking questions, or you're being asked questions. You're going to have to defend this, and you're going to have to go through, you know, where did you get this and where did you get it from that person? And eventually you're going to have to say, I don't know, and that's going to be suspicious. And if you actually look at the terms of service for these major exchanges, when they go into their know your customer policies, right? And their anti-money laundering regulations, where they go, you have to do all of this stuff. And by the way, in every case, they go far beyond what the law requires because they just want to cover themselves. If you fail to meet whatever arbitrary burden they impose on you, they don't close your account and return your money. And so this is the thing that I think people need to think about, is what government goes after today, and will always go after in these spaces, are the on and off ramps, right? They are the points where you either need to buy this or you need to sell this because you want to sell, or you want to, you know, buy groceries. And at least now, you know, they're not taking that very frequently, you know, at Whole Foods, unless you're in a beta or whatever. But this is the thing. This is a point of existential vulnerability. And there are really only two ways to get around it. Fundamentally, you can either structure the system in such a way that you've encouraged enough adoption that now you can spend directly on groceries, and the grocery store doesn't have time to take your blood sample passport. Or you can structure the system in such a way that the user cannot prove the provenance of their funds beyond the last transaction, right? And when we have these sort of ageless transactions where you've got one or none, you can go, look, I got this from here, right? And I could have rebalanced my wallet or whatever, and there's no way to show it back beyond that. That's the only way to do it. We need users to have a plausible explanation that they cannot go around, right? There's a lot of developers that are going, oh, we'll have selective transparency. Selective transparency that's not driven by the user and that creates user-facing harms is a problem. Actually, there's one more way to go around this, and hopefully we'll get people in the room who are working on this. And this is to go and just completely obsolete the whole method. And the way this works is all of these on-ramps and off-ramps today are driven by basically contact with banks. Anywhere where governments are going, we have to license you to do monetary transactions. And right now, everybody in the space is still going, look, we're incorporated in Texas or San Francisco, or God forbid, the state of New York. And because of this, we can only do these this certain way. And if, we have these new FATCA regulations, or if we have something from the New York Attorney General, or anything like that, we're screwed. We have no defense, we have no recourse, we have to reincorporate, right? And we still live in the US, it's a problem. This is actually something that governments count on wherever their jurisdiction is, so long as they have this set of rules. What we don't see happening in the crypto space now, which is honestly unforgivable given how many new sort of millionaires and billionaires we have, is you guys need to start lobbying for more favorable jurisdictions, right? And the whole point of this is just that they won't interfere with your business when it's working internationally. It doesn't matter if you're doing transactions in the United States or in France or Germany or anywhere else, unless you're in this model that we've always had, where you're trying to be the next, Bank of America. You're trying to be the next First National. But the world isn't waiting for the next First National. What the world needs is the first post-national. But this is a real thing. So long as, you have people and desks and machines that they can put their hands on, right? And you're not distributing them through new routing layers, where it's difficult to tell, using mixnets and things like cohort, where the communications are originating, where they're ending. And we don't bake this in a way that the user doesn't have to care about. It's invisible to them, right? They just open an app and it works. There's always going to be that point of pressure. And so long as the state, maintains a monopoly on the use of violence, it is always going to be applied in these ways. And I think a lot of people in this room understand that, right? But so long as we don't change and we play by the rules because we go, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, and I believe very strongly that Eric and the Shapeshift crews didn't want to do this, but they felt compelled to do this, right? The thing is, what have these guys done since? And this is not to pick on them, right? They're just a famous name in this space. What's next? How do you respond, right? If the response is just go, okay, we lost, you win, we're going to keep filing our taxes and, going on with our lives, this is why we can't have nice things.